And we are live. It's 2:30 p.m. It's a Wednesday afternoon.
It is.
And it's Innovation Fika.
It is.
Donny here, live from Teknikringen 1 with a live audience. Woo! It's amazing. The crowd is going wild. If anybody is at Teknikringen 1 in Stockholm, make sure to come here on Wednesday afternoons, 2:30 p.m. Because as you know, every Wednesday I go live with my Innovation Fika. I've been doing it for a year now. This is actually episode 26. And Innovation Fika in short, Fika is of course Swedish for coffee break. And Innovation Fika is a short coffee break in me meeting a cool person, talking about a cool idea or an incredible journey or some cool tech. We happen to have a really cool person with cool tech and an incredible journey with us here today. I'm very, very pleased to present to you Mr. Tanmoy Bari. He is the co-founder and CEO of Greenely.
Yep.
And we are very proud of you as an alumni from KTH Innovation as well. We'll be talking about your journey very shortly. But for everybody listening out there, make sure to post your questions in the comments for Tanmoy. He's here to answer questions about his journey, entrepreneurship, what he's learned, and whatever else you might want to know from of Tanmoy, of course. So, and by the way, my name is Donny, if I didn't say that before. Follow me on LinkedIn, Donny S. Siligonis, and on Instagram. I post every day almost about innovation, entrepreneurship, startups, and inspiration. So follow me there for more live updates like this. I'll be doing quite a lot of posts on Instagram this week from Dubai, because I was at the World Expo last week. You saw that?
I saw that.
See, one person saw that. Excellent. So super cool. So post questions in the comments, and we'll kick this off with Mr. Bari. Tell me in short now, let's start with Greenely, shall we? And then we can, what is Greenely?
Well, Greenely is a digital energy supplier that tries to help people optimize their consumption with smart technology.
Wait. A digital energy supplier that helps people optimize their consumption.
Energy consumption.
Energy consumption.
Absolutely.
And how does Greenely do that?
We basically are a smart app that anybody can download, and then you can connect your data inside your home, so you can learn instantly a lot about your energy behavior and consumption.
Yeah.
And then you can connect various types of things inside your home. For instance, your car, for instance, your heating system, and then you can allow us to optimize your consumption based on prices and a lot of other types of things. So you as a consumer. So
now you can do it for me.
Yeah, we can do it.
That's a new thing.
Yeah.
you didn't have that.
No, we invested quite a lot in that to be able to do that. So absolutely. So you can connect a lot of things inside your home and allow us to optimize your usage for you. So you can save up to 50% on your energy bill. With
50%?
Up to 50%.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I saw something as well on the site. By the way, greenly.com, as you can see here in everybody online there. I saw something on the site about electric cars as well.
Yeah.
Which was really cool.
Yeah, so if you drive an EV, for instance, electric car, any type of brand, almost any type of brand, a Volvo or Tesla or Audi, you can connect it inside our app. Then you can allow us to, you basically say that I want my car to be charged at this level tomorrow, and then we automatically charge your car when the prices are the cheapest. So that's quite interesting for people that are actually buying EVs right now, and there's a huge amount of people that are actually doing that. And in Europe, we will have over 130 million EVs within the next few years. So it's significant for the consumers today.
Indeed, and as far as I understand, I mean, you don't just plug a Tesla into your socket. I mean, it's kind of a spike when it comes to charge, right?
Yeah.
So making sure that it charges during the time of day or night when the energy price is lower is like a smart thing.
Absolutely. It's a very smart thing. But then also we can leverage all these kind of connected cars that we have and use it as a big battery to make sure that when it's a lot of pressure on the grid, when everybody wants electricity, we can shut the charging down for a couple of seconds and make sure the electricity grid actually makes sure that it can deliver a lot of electricity.
All right. So you're actually helping the grid work better.
Absolutely. We call it virtual power plants. And that's what we're building with a lot of these kind of connections that we are accumulating.
That's come a far way from when I met you the first time in a corridor here in...
As you told me, you have to constantly innovate, right? You need to find new types of ways of doing things better. So I think that's basically what we're spending a lot of resources on right now, to build this kind of integrations and connect everything, and hopefully in the future we can control the grid, which we're trying to do.
Super impressed. I mean, there's so many cool things, and especially now when we are constantly reading. The paradox is that suddenly today, when one would have thought that energy is in abundance, suddenly that's become, really the prices are going up and the energy is
definitely. So I mean, instead of us powering a oil factory plant and then producing a lot of electricity with fossil fuels, we can instead use the renewable electricity that we have in a more efficient way, and we're trying to help consumers to do that.
Because I hear a lot of people saying that, there's no point in trying to run for renewable sources because they'll never be enough, and let's stick to oil and gas and what we know and that kind of thing. But you are sort of helping the transition. I'm putting words in your mouth here, but...
Absolutely. We think from a consumer perspective, we're helping with the transition to help you as a consumer. Obviously, everybody has already a green electricity contract and those kind of things, but we're trying to make sure that we stop using fossil fuels in an efficient way with efficient usage during the time of day or during the day, basically.
Well, super cool. And I said, everybody ask questions in the comments. And going back then to the start of your journey, and how did you, how did you get the idea, and when did you decide to try and build a company that is, revolutionizing that? I mean, it didn't start with that, maybe. No. Well, where did it start?
Well, it started with the master thesis that I did with the city of Stockholm and a consultancy firm called WSP. So my job was basically to look at how we can live more sustainable in the city with different types of technologies. So everything from food consumption to transportation to the energy sector. Yeah. And we were quite compelled by the energy sector because we felt that the solutions out there was hardware driven. It wasn't something that was easily grasped for the consumers. It was very hard to really grasp what they were doing. So we had this idea that we can build like the future of energy services with pulling more data from the electricity grid that we already have. Unfortunately, we couldn't do any of those kind of things that we wanted to do. So because there was no legislation supporting us gaining this or gathering this data. No. So what we did was we partnered with a lot of utilities and electricity providers here in Sweden and start to build a business there, helping them basically with their business. Until we one day said, hey, we can do what they're doing, but much better. So we went out again in town and tried to raise more funds to be able to build this. And so that's basically my journey. So it's a master thesis that led to what we're doing today.
And that was when was that?
2014.
2014?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not kind of, it's 7 years.
It's a long time, yeah.
But I usually make the joke when people are doing these 24-hour startup weekends and things like that, and I say, build a company and, run with it. And I'm going, it's going to take you 7 years.
Yeah.
And that's and I use 7 years as but it's surprisingly enough.
So you look at Truecaller right now, right? So it took them 10 years to get to where they are. Well, I mean, it takes some time to build a business.
Indeed.
So now, there are businesses that takes off within 9 months as well, but usually in general, I think it takes time, especially if you haven't maybe done the journey before.
I think it always takes time until you're actually a solid business. How many people are you in Greenely today?
We're 24 people right now, and hiring for a couple of more roles as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And okay, so you did a master thesis and you had this idea.
Yeah.
And where did you go? I mean, with that, you were still only with an idea. And how did you sort of decide that this is something I want to build and run with?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of people that said that it was a bad idea, and I got a lot of motivation from that.
I think I said it was a bad idea.
Yeah, you were one of them. But it was I think that the first idea was maybe not as scalable, and we couldn't really solve the core problem of the consumers. So I think we evolved that idea quite a lot from the beginning. But I think getting early traction was a key thing. I think also the support that I received from you guys was really impactful in the early days for us. And the community around it, that you guys were able to provide, there was basically a path for us. This was the first step. Then you go to this kind of accelerated, then you do this and so forth. So I think the support system along the way was huge for us in terms of building this business. I don't think we would have been where we are without that kind of support system.
I remember, I do recall the first meetings we had when, my take on it was, and please correct me if you remember differently, but it was, okay guys, I've heard it before. I'm not going to say you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that if you're going to do it, make sure that it actually solves the problem, and that whole kind of thing. But don't go and bet your house and home on it today yet. That kind of that was a
absolutely. But I think it's also besides the company itself and the idea itself, there was a lot of passion driving your own business. It was so fulfilling for me as an individual. So I think this was much better than working at that time. I was doing my master thesis at another company. I think that kind of environment for me as a personality building my own business was huge for me, and I felt at home doing that basically.
So you feel that the last 7 years and maybe the coming 7 years as well, they've been, it was the right choice.
Yeah, for me, definitely. I mean, thinking of where the business are today, I mean, obviously we would have loved to be already Spotify, but I mean, where we are today, we're super proud of what we built. We're super proud of the way that we're growing right now, and the people that we have in the business. I'm really proud of where we are.
Yeah. I mean, a class of 2014 was a good year.
It was a good year. There's a lot of good companies, right?
Yes, but I think you together made yourselves great as well, because it was a really, really good cohort of companies that they all wanted to actually achieve very big things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just a couple of companies that maybe not exist today, but I'm still friends with a lot of the people that we actually said door to door with in that basement.
In the basement.
You didn't have the technology that you have right now.
The basement that we painted ourselves. Me and Tom, who's in the audience here, we painted actually the walls there in that basement.
It was beautiful. I mean, we had...
It was ours. It was our place. It was great.
We had so much fun. We didn't want to study. We would just want to hang out there, to be honest with you. Everybody was building something. It was great for us.
Yeah, well, I think the when you're in that kind of context and community where everybody's actually trying to achieve something, you know, in their mind, which is big, and you can get the positive energy and the mindset changes as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you sort of when you go to university, which I did here at KTH. I mean, you have a path that you should take a job at a big firm, and then you do career that way. But all of a sudden, you presented a choice for me as an individual of what I can do with my life, which was by far more exciting to me as a person. So I think, yeah, definitely. And you find other people doing the exact same thing as you. It was great. We had a blast.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do more things with alumni and get alumni to meet alumni, and we're happy to bring everybody together again. You are also just a short. You were also one of the teams at KTH Innovation that went through, you know, most of the steps. We did the pre-incubator program, you're a business coach, and then the pre-incubator program, and then you did the Brighter program, and you went to the US.
Yeah, definitely.
As well, which was also a great.
It was great. It was great in many ways. I mean, we got in touch with Department of Psychology at Stanford. After that trip, we worked with them for 3 years. We developed our service together with them. It was great. Just the ecosystem in Silicon Valley and Palo Alto was amazing for us. I mean, it was, I would say, more inspiration to the team than anything else. I mean, we got a lot of cool ideas, and the world was just, so we had, it was super awesome for us.
But I think when you're in a place like Silicon Valley, or not a place like, when you are in Silicon Valley, what we just said, you know, being in the context where you're meeting people that want the same thing, and everybody wants to help each other as well. There's a pay-it-forward culture. It really is so inspiring that it really feels like the sky. Not even the sky is the limit. There's, you know, you can build anything. And down the road, there's this one guy that sends rockets up, and EVs are on the road, and there's another company that you know, it's just this. There's limitless possibilities out there, and we're hoping to build the same kind of feeling here. At our new offices at KTH Innovation, Teknikringen 1, where we hope the magic will be happening now that people are coming back as well. Let's see, have we got any comments or questions online? Do we have any comments or questions from the live audience? Feel free to, yes, please.
So, I think your journey sounds fantastic, congratulations. But I guess there may have been some obstacles during the journey. What was it and how did you solve them?
Yeah, the good question. The question was, sounds great, but you're bound to have some obstacles, and what did you do to get past them?
I think there's obstacles everywhere you look, basically. I mean, every week you're surprised by a new obstacle that you haven't seen before or you didn't really think about. I mean, obviously there's core problems, might be related to team, might be related to recruitment, might be related to funding, but there's always, you sort of tend to put out fires each and every week as a founder in the very early stages. But then you might find very good people that you can bring on to the journey that helps you put out those kind of fires. And I think it becomes less and less perhaps, but feels like it's always a new type of challenges. But I mean, there's so many different types of challenges related to different things. I mean, funding is a huge thing for startups that want to grow. Recruitment, how to find a lot of good people. Maybe in the early days you don't have the cash in the bank to hire very senior type of people. How do you solve that? I mean, there's constantly problems that occurs, and there's constantly ways that you can find solutions to those problems. I don't know if there was answer to your questions, but we've seen a lot of different types of problems, and we still are seeing problems.
But take recruitment, for instance, because I mean, I hear that a lot from people that I work with as well, is, you know, the how hard it is to find the right people, the good people.
Yeah.
How do you go about that today, now that you've sort of learned some more about it?
I mean, I think network is a big thing for us, tapping into the network that we have. I think also you can probably find candidates that like are good. We have a lot of talent in Stockholm. Engineering might be slightly more trickier, but in general roles, I think you can find a lot of good talents. I think the tricky part is how do you figure out that this is the right candidate for your company?
Yeah.
And what we do a lot is backdoor channeling. Stockholm is quite small still, so you probably know someone that knows this person or has worked with this and can actually speak a little bit about it. This is how things work with investments and everything else. So we do that very efficiently, I think. We also tend to spend a lot of time on personality. It's not only about what your experience is. I think a lot of time is the personality, how you are as a person, how you cooperate with your peers and so forth. So I think we use psychologists in our process as well for senior roles. So there's various types of ways you can build your own type of recruitment process that you feel comfortable with. But finding talent, I think you can do that. There's a lot of agencies as well that helps you with this if you think that is necessary. But I think you can find talent. But you have to make sure that does this fit your business very early on, and that could be really, it can be problematic if you get the wrong type of person in quite early. I think.
But to challenge you on that though, how do you work with diversity? Because one problem I see in companies is when they talk about, you know, culture fit, and they tend to hire people that look like themselves and are like themselves because this feels comfortable. But then that is usually counterproductive when it comes to building a diverse group. So how do you go about that part?
The diversity part, we hope that we don't recruit people that looks like ourselves or exactly the same people as ourselves. We don't have any. We have had people over 50 years old at our company, and we have had people that is very young as well. Like, I mean, we age, ethnicity, and your culture and religious, those things don't matter to us at all. We tend to think about it personality-wise. Obviously we don't want the same type of personality, but we have some kind of core things that we need to figure out. When we say culture fit, we don't mean that they should fit our culture. We can fit to your personality as well. But there's a couple of things that we really look at, like, can you cooperate with your peers in an efficient way? Are you nice as a human being? Like, we try to figure these kind of things out. Then where you come from, what your age is, that doesn't really matter for us. We think you can still do the job efficiently.
Yeah. It reminds me of a story that I heard from NASA about the astronaut test. You go through all of these physical tests and they try you and then there's like one thing left to do. And they push you into a room, and then there's this big round table with like 10 other people. Yeah. And they come, come on, sit down, have a cup of coffee and just sit down. And then you sit and chat with these people for like an hour. Yeah. And then the door opens and they go, okay, you can go now. And then the others that you've met, they're all previous or current astronauts.
Okay.
So the final, and it all comes down to, are you a likable person? Are you somebody they could spend time with in a very small space for like 2 years in one place? Yeah. And that's, in the end, that is what it comes down to. Are you, do you function in a group as a likable person?
It makes a lot of sense. I tend to say in the Swedish words, are you snäll? But are you a nice, genuine person? I mean, those kind of things is important to us. And we have different ways of figuring that out in the recruitment process.
I can tell you one thing. This guy is a very nice, snäll guy as well. So, it's building from the base up. We have, let's see, Ali here from Ali Juma saying, amazing journey, really inspiring. Thank you, Ali. Ali, who, by the way, has just been accepted into not the pre-incubator, but as a prep phase, which is the pre-phase to the pre-incubator. So, Ali, I'm looking forward to seeing you here on stage in, well, let's say 7 years, right? And then let's see, a question here from Ali as well. We have, Ali, do you have any tips regarding how to find funding? The magical question, that one.
I think I spent hours on that, but I think, definitely, I think the first thing you should, if I would have redone my journey, I would have think about the kind of advice board I can put around myself that I've gone through this journey and can speak a little bit about funding, maybe introduce you to a lot of different types of people if it relates to funding. But I think funding is, we tend to look at it from venture capital perspective or just pure equity investments. But there's various types of ways that you can fund the business today, which you couldn't do when we were starting up 5 years ago. So I think thinking strategically about funding, I think that would be the first step for that kind of, for Ali, I don't know what kind of business you run, but I think what kind of funding is also appropriate for my type of business, because there's probably different types of routes depending on what kind of company you are. But my first advice would be to get other types of founders that have gone through the journey, maybe have received funding, and then you start speaking to these persons and based on your company. I think that can go a long way.
I mean, it takes. You're never alone as well. You need.
No.
You've been. I mean, you've mentioned network a number of times now.
For sure.
And the power of the people around you is.
But it can also be very bad for you as well.
Yeah.
A lot of advice can take you down a path that could be harmful as well.
Tell you what, we're coming to the end of the. This is just a short coffee break when I meet people, right? So we're not going to spend too much time there. Any other questions from the live audience or anybody else? Just put your hand up. But we do have, as usual, we always have the guests' top 3 tips that he gives us. Just to turn off the comment thing here, and we'll go to this one. And Tanmoy has promised, of course, as well, to give us his top 3 tips. And Tanmoy's top 3 tips for aspiring entrepreneurs who want to succeed. And tip number 1 was what you just started talking about, that advice can be both good and bad. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, I mean, you tend to get a lot of different types of people that want to help, which is great. And you have a lot of different types of opinions. And those opinions can, if it's 2-3 persons in the room that giving you a certain type of opinion or advice that you should do this, but in your heart you might not be sure about it, but you sometimes in a very early stage you want to please those kind of persons. You could do that, and that could take you down a journey that, or maybe it's not that good. I remember I spent a lot of time when we were going from working with utilities and energy providers to becoming one ourselves. There were so many people that are saying that this is a bad idea, you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it. And it was very hard for me. It took me a very long time to get to that kind of decision. But I knew that was the right thing. So too much advice can be harmful as well. And how you actually leverage and use that advice can be also very important. How you actually do it. I think you should look at advice that's gathering information, but you as a leader of the business, you should make your own decision that you feel comfortable with.
Well, it is your decision to make. I mean, it's your business, it's not their business, it's your business.
Exactly. And at times, maybe people have interest in your business, and that could be hard to make that kind of decision because you might, that person might be, might not feel that is the right thing, and you have to deal with the consequences. But I think ultimately making the right decisions that you feel is good. Advice should not tell you exactly what to do. You should look at it that you're gathering information.
That's a good tip. Yeah, that's a good tip. I mean, it's not a. You're not given a rule. But you do
no.
You're given a.
It's the same. It's the same thing. Not only with human beings. It's the same thing with books and all these kind of things as well. Like read about it, but form your own decision.
Very good. Thank you, Tanmoy. Tip number 2 from Mr. Tanmoy Bari is adopt the right mindset. That was something we spoke about before as well.
Yeah, I mean, mindset it's very interesting because I tend to think like the people that say that they can solve a specific problem are very optimistic about a certain thing. They usually go out and solve the problem. And the same thing the opposite way around. If they're already in the mindset, it's like, this will be very hard, this might be very challenging, I'm not sure I can do this. I tend to see that they are also very right. Because I think mindset is so important in terms of how you go about looking at a certain problem. If you're already thinking that this will be challenging and hard, I mean, it will be, probably. And so I think mindset and relating to that, I think there's nothing given to me free, even though we might have luck that market has shifted and so forth. And you create your own market. I think you create a lot of luck. I think you work for what you achieve, basically. So I think hard work and mindset is key for a lot of things.
That's something that's, what you just said, it sounds like a simple thing, but I personally use that as well in my daily life, because for me it's a choice of, I can either choose to be happy and positive, or I can choose to be grumpy and negative. Because and which either way I choose, it's going to be that way.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of things outside like control. I'm in business. This is what I generally usually see, that people that comes up and say like, I think I can solve this problem, but I don't know how. Maybe then people around you get optimistic and they can support you and so forth. So I think mindset is key for me and a lot of other people.
Bouncing back to Ali's question, I can tell you, Ali, if you want to attract investments, you need to project the mindset. You may have the mindset and project that you're actually trying to solve it, and you are you're determined to solve this.
Yeah.
And by, if people can feel that coming off you, then they'll believe you, and that will also pave the way for the investments.
Yeah, definitely.
Tip number 3 from Tanmoy here is, I like this one, manage your mental well-being.
Yeah, and this is, I think, when I was founding my business, and still today, I don't think we talk about founders' mental health. I think there's a lot of things that you will go through this journey that will impact you, because the question was like, what kind of problems you face? You face so many different types of problems, and it can cause a lot of stress. I was talking to one candidate just today that said that I was the sole founder, and this has affected me so much and how I feel today. And just managing yourself and the well-being of yourself, I think is really a key to longevity for you to be successful in your business.
Yeah.
And there's obviously various ways of managing your mental health, but I think you should think about that actively as a founder, and how you actually go about doing that, because that can help you in your daily life quite a lot.
But that's interesting, because yes, we are talking more about mental health today.
Yeah.
But it tends still to be in the in the setting of young people are mentally unhealthy. We're talking about mental unhealth and mental illness.
Mental illness.
But if we flip that and look at, we go to the gym for physical health. If you were going to have your employees run a marathon, of course you'd send them to a training. I mean, you'd wanted to train before they did a marathon if you were doing like that. But why don't we do that with employees when it comes to the marathon they run every day at work?
Sure. I mean, we try to actually emphasize it. We say that go train, go exercise during your work hours, and you still get paid, because we think that's such a good and effective way for you to have a good mental health and find peace in yourself.
But do you work actively with the company when it comes to mental health as well?
I think we can do more, much more.
Yeah.
We don't work like actively with coaches and bring them in, but I think there's so many things that we can probably do to actually help people in that path. But I think from a founder perspective, I think there's so many things that you will see that will cause a lot of stress for you, and if you find a balance on how to manage that kind of stress, whatever that might be, I think it can be really good for you and the business as well.
Yeah. 3 fantastic, really, really good tips, Tanmoy. And Ali here again. See you in 7 years. Awesome, Ali. We'll see you here in 7 years. Looking forward to it. No, but this has been fantastic. As I said, everyone online, this is a short coffee break every Wednesday afternoon, 2 or 3 p.m. Innovation Fika with Donnie and guests, live from KTH Innovation, Teknikringen 1. Tanmoy Bari, founder of Greenely. We are so proud to have you in our alumni
Very happy to be here.
showcase here. It's amazing. You're doing fantastic work.
Thanks.
And you are one of the companies that actually are helping the transition into sustainable energy. So it's a big thing. So happy to have you here. Thank you again for coming. And let's make you have another date in another 7 years and see how you're getting on. Okay?
Sounds great.
Cool.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you everyone
Thanks a lot.
online. And thank you and goodbye.